Deep within the uncharted wilderness, shrouded in an eternal twilight, lay Hollow Woods. Locals spoke of it in hushed tones, their voices laced with fear and respect for the unseen forces that resided there. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, a constant reminder of the forest's relentless hunger for life. The gnarled branches of ancient trees intertwined overhead, forming a suffocating canopy that blocked out the sun, casting long, eerie shadows that danced ominously on the forest floor. The silence of Hollow Woods was deceptive, broken only by the occasional snap of a twig or the rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth. It was a silence that pressed in on you, amplifying every anxious thought, every fearful instinct. The very air seemed to vibrate with an ancient energy, a palpable sense of dread that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. Ethan, a young photographer known for his adventurous spirit and stunning nature photography, had heard the whispers about Hollow Woods. He was drawn to the unknown, his curiosity piqued by the tales of mystery and fear that surrounded the place. Armed with his trusty camera and a thirst for the unexplored, he ventured into the heart of the woods, determined to capture its haunting beauty and unravel its secrets. The sun was beginning to set as Ethan crossed the threshold into Hollow Woods. The air grew noticeably colder, and a thick fog rolled in, obscuring the already faint light. He pressed on, his boots sinking into the soft, damp earth, the silence closing in around him like an icy embrace. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon him, watching his every move. As darkness descended, the forest came alive with strange and unsettling sounds. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it faint murmurs that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the woods. Ethan paused, listening intently, his heart pounding in his chest. The whispers grew louder, swirling around him, taunting him with their unseen presence. He shone his flashlight into the darkness, but the beam was swallowed by the dense fog. The whispers seemed to be coming from all directions at once, impossible to pinpoint. Ethan felt a surge of adrenaline, a primal fear gripping his senses. He quickened his pace, desperate to escape the suffocating darkness and the haunting whispers that pursued him. Ethan stumbled upon an old weathered signpost, its paint peeling, the lettering barely visible in the dim light. It pointed down a narrow, overgrown path, the words Blackwood Manor etched into its surface. A surge of curiosity, stronger than his fear, washed over him. Could this be the source of the haunting whispers, the heart of the forest's darkness? He hesitated for a moment, weighing his options. He could turn back, escape the woods and its haunting whispers, but something drew him forward, an irresistible pull towards the unknown. With a deep breath, Ethan steeled his nerves and plunged into the overgrown path, the whispers seeming to intensify with each step he took towards Blackwood Manor. Section 5. Facing Fear. The path wound its way through the dense undergrowth, twisting and turning until Ethan stumbled out into a small clearing. In the centre stood a dilapidated mansion, its once grand facade now crumbling and overgrown with ivy. The windows were dark, like empty eyes staring out at him, and the air hung heavy with a palpable sense of decay and despair. Ethan raised his camera, his finger hovering over the shutter button. He could feel a strange energy emanating from the mansion, a cold, oppressive force that sent shivers down his spine. He took a step closer, drawn in by the building's macabre beauty and the promise of unlocking the secrets it held within its decaying walls. Section 6. The Haunted Clearing. As Ethan approached the mansion, he noticed movement in the shadows at the edge of the clearing. A figure emerged from the darkness, its form tall and gaunt, its features obscured by the shadows and the thick fog. Ethan's heart skipped a beat, his breath catching in his throat as he strained to make out the figure's identity. The figure took a step closer, its movements slow and deliberate, as if it were gliding through the fog rather than walking. Ethan raised his camera, his finger trembling on the shutter button. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, his senses on high alert. He had to capture this moment to prove to himself that he wasn't imagining things. Section 7. The Ghostly Encounter. The figure stepped into a patch of moonlight and Ethan gasped. It was a woman, her long white dress flowing around her like a shroud. Her face was pale and drawn, her eyes hollow and filled with an unearthly sadness. She stared directly at Ethan, her lips moving as if she were trying to speak, but no sound reached his ears. Ethan stood frozen in place, his camera forgotten in his hand. He had never believed in ghosts before, but there was something about the woman's ethereal beauty and the palpable sense of sorrow that emanated from her that sent a chill down his spine. He knew with a certainty that defied all logic that he was in the presence of something not of this world. Section 8. A Desperate Escape. The woman took another step closer, her hand reaching out towards Ethan, her touch promising both comfort and despair. Ethan snapped out of his trance, his fear returning with a vengeance. He turned and ran, his heart pounding in his chest, the woman's silent cries echoing in his ears. He could hear the woman's footsteps behind him, slow and deliberate, as if she were toying with him, her presence a suffocating weight on his back. He didn't dare look back, terrified of what he might see. He had to escape the clearing, to get back to the relative safety of the woods. Section 9. The Price of Curiosity. Ethan burst out of the clearing and into the relative safety of the trees, his lungs burning, his legs screaming for respite. He didn't stop running until he reached the edge of the woods, the first rays of dawn breaking through the darkness. He collapsed on the ground, gasping for air, his body trembling with exhaustion and terror. As he lay there catching his breath, he knew that he had been forever changed by his encounter with the ghostly woman in white. He had stared into the face of the unknown and emerged forever marked by the experience. He had sought adventure, but he had found something far more profound, something that would haunt his dreams for years to come. Section 10. The Lingering Shadow. Ethan never returned to Hollow Woods, but the memory of that night, of the ghostly woman in white and the oppressive atmosphere of Blackwood Manor remained etched in his mind. He had captured no photographs that night, his camera having malfunctioned at the height of the encounter, but he didn't need photographic evidence to convince him of what he had seen and felt. He had learned a valuable lesson that night, a lesson about the price of curiosity and the hidden depths of human fear. He had faced his own mortality in the heart of Hollow Woods and emerged forever changed. His spirit marked by the encounter, his soul forever tethered to the ghostly woman in white and the haunting secrets of Blackwood Manor. Write in the comments what you would have done if you were in this position.